So we just wrapped Casey Harris's interview. He's the master brewer here at Topa Topa Brewing Company, and it's time to break down this setup. And it's considerably different than the one that we did for Kyle, and that's the whole point of this course. If we came in here just to shoot a promotional video for Topa Topa, we might go with the idea of saying we want to light everything exactly the same with the same type of lighting and make it consistent. But this is a lighting course, so we're going to do things a little bit differently so that we can teach different things based on different interview setups and all that stuff. So what were the considerations? Well, Greg and I had dinner last night. We talked a little bit about Kyle's interview yesterday. We talked a little bit about what we wanted to do here, and then when we came into the space, decided to make this feel like it was happening at a slightly different time of day than it actually was. We wanted to have a little bit more warmth, and maybe the sun was just coming up. It was earlier in the day, and so that's what we did. And I'm going to break this down for you so you can see all of the things that we did do on the set. First of all, we'll start with the key, because it's always good to start with the key light. And what we have here is something called a book light. And the concept behind the book light is we are bouncing and diffusing light. And we're creating this really nice, large, soft source. And we're using a book light kit. This is actually the C47 book light kit. And we are pushing an 800 Joker bug into unbleached muslin. And then that's coming through a half grid cloth. And it's kind of directing the light a little bit, which is what a half grid cloth or grid cloth does, just a little bit. But it is a big source, and it has a really nice big catch light. And in fact, I'm basically looking right now in the same direction that Casey was when he was being interviewed. And we're rolling on A and B camera so you can see what that is. And we can also show you the footage from the interview. We're also flagging that a little bit, so we have a little bit of black wrap to make sure that we're not getting lens flare. We actually have some tape on A camera to make sure we're not getting lens flare. We're, of course, booming from the opposite side of the key, so we're not getting shadows coming in, which we could get if we were bringing that mic in from that side. And just a few other things. So Greg looked on, apps like Sunseeker are fantastic. They tell us where the light's going to be at a certain time of day. Google Earth is not a bad tool as well. It can really give you a lot of data. And, we have an encyclopedia of information and access to so much real-time data now in our pockets. It's awesome. So up there, we actually had a window, and Greg saw that we were going to have light coming directly in that window at about the time that we were going to shoot the interview with Casey. So some Duvetine is up there. Did we do anything else on that, Greg, up on that window?
No, but we did set a flag just to control the light a little bit closer to set.
So just some lighting control to handle some of that stuff, and then other little things. So we've got a Lowcaster behind me. And what's your color temperature on that about?
Around 3,200 on that.
About 3,200. So we're keeping that warm. So the idea is, again, warmer light. Also, that 800 going into unbleached muslin is also creating a slightly warmer light as our key, even though it's a daylight source going into that. And then we've got Joker Bug 400. We got a 400 over there, right, Greg?
Correct.
That you set?
Yeah.
And you've got Bastard Amber on there?
Yeah, correct.
Sometimes we would use CTS or color temperature straw to just sort of warm that up, but that wasn't on the truck, so he used that amber gel on there, and that's, again, warming that up. And you can see what's happening behind me. And we set all of the cameras to a daylight color temperature, but we've just got this nice warmth that's occurring right now. And to me, the secret is not just trying to create this atmosphere and time of day, but it's this nice big source and this big catch light, and it's, again, that whole wrap light. We've got a little piece here of foam core, which is just being set just gingerly by Greg on the side, which is just giving us a little bit of fill, and we can just adjust that, and you can see how that is, and again, that in and that out. And I think that people love to see what happens when lights are being used and when they're not. So I'm just going to have Greg go over to the key, and he's going to go ahead and pan that away so we can see what happens when that's off of the book light. So let's see, and you can see how much work that's doing in the space. Let's bring that back in. Let's bring it out again one more time. Pan off, and then back in again, and boom. Okay, Greg, if you don't mind, let's go over to the 400 and let's pan that too and see what that light is doing in terms of its job. And while he's going over there, behind me we have some windows. You can usually see through those windows. We have a 6x6 and an 8x8 silk that's set outside there to just create that. So we're not seeing the cars pass by. We're bringing the light level down a little bit. We're not now dealing with all of the problems that we would normally have to deal with. Now, that could be a double net if we wanted to see outside of the window. We could go ahead and set duvetine or floppy cutters out there if we just wanted it to read black. This is the look that we talked about creating, and I think it's working very, very well. So let's go ahead and pan the 400, and let's see what that is doing in terms of the set. Let's bring it back in again. You can see it. Let's go out, boom. You know, these lights are doing a lot. We are thinking a lot. When we set this up, I would say normal interview setups are taking us about 45 minutes to an hour. We actually set up Kyle's yesterday in 15 to 20 minutes, but that is a little bit of time. If we want to be able to finesse a little bit, then I would try to give yourselves 45 minutes to an hour. That's great. And then I know you're going to have to sneak by me. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, you got
But
it.
we're going to go ahead and we're going to audition on and off this little Lowcaster and see what that's doing. So let's go ahead and do that. Boom, boom, right? So it's doing a job, and it's an important job. And let's get away from this mindset of 3 or 4 point lighting. Let's go into a space. That's what I love to do, and figure out creating a look, a mood, an atmosphere. We could do this in any great architectural space. This is not specific to being inside of a brewery. We can do it in a cool boardroom, find another space where you've got some depth. Look for architectural spaces where there's visual interest, where we've got production design that is being brought into this just by the space alone. That's why scouting for locations for projects is so important.